So, Giles Smith, director.
Hello.
Hello, thank you so much for joining me.
That's brilliant.
I'm really excited to talk to you. We have known each other an awfully long time, but probably haven't seen each other physically
For an awfully long time.
for an awfully 25 years, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It doesn't feel like it. It does feel like it, but it doesn't feel like it.
it does feel very normal just to be chatting to you.
Yeah. You haven't changed a bit. Well, you
I
have, but
do.
you know what I mean? You're so familiar. There you go.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we met at drama school.
Yes.
And you now live in Italy and are a director, effectively. But how did you get there, Giles? Tell us.
How did I get there? How did I get there? This is a very good question. I never wanted to be an actor. I never told anyone this, but I never wanted to be an actor. I always wanted to be a director. And it was my mother who said, well, you either go to university and do a degree in literature, or you train as an actor. And I'm not in any way academic. So I thought, okay, well, sod it, I'll go and be an actor. And I auditioned. I did the auditions, and I was lucky enough to get in. I don't know, but it was never really it was never the goal. But I thought I'll train as an actor, and that might make me a better director. So I did that, and as you know, and then left, and very, very slowly, sort of tortoise sort of pace, I started doing stuff and writing things, and I ended up going back to the Guildhall as a teacher, and we did 34 plays by Pinter in 5 weeks. Which is fantastic.
Wow.
And then after that, yeah, it was great. It was great. It ended up being very paranoid at the end of it, if you know Pinter at all. But it was brilliant. It was fantastic. Really lovely group. And then after that, finished at Easter, and then I came back in the summer term to do first year Chekhov. And then I was invited to San Miniato, which is the European School for the Art of the Actor. I did some work there in 2002 and in 2003. And there, in that 2003 group, there was an actor who was from Milan who invited me to a regional theatre, one of the regional, a bit like Birmingham Rep, just to give you a sort of context, to do some work there, which was in a place called Ancona, which is on the, if you look at the boot, it's on the calf of the boot.
Okay.
If you draw a line from Rome slightly up, it's there. It's on the coast. It's a lovely, lovely port. Did some work in Ancona for a while, and I was at that point in my life in 2003 when I wanted to start my own stuff. I wanted to do my own things. I'd worked for a long time at the National Theatre in the West End and whatever, but I was getting bored, and there was a sort of I was getting bored, and I also didn't like Tony Blair going to war.
Okay.
So I thought I think it's maybe a time to leave. So I went, bit foolishly. I didn't really plan it very well, but I went, and here I am 17 years later, 16 years later, whatever it is. So I went to Ancona, started teaching, doing workshops, doing shows, writing stuff, longish story short, started a company, wrote, directed, led workshops, been over Europe. I went to New York with a show of mine that I wrote in 2012, went to the Grotowski Theatre in Poland. When my son was born, we closed the company. I'm now independent. 2 years ago, I was back in London with a play I wrote, which we did little bits of at the National Portrait Gallery. I wrote a couple of screenplays. I'm trying to get my film made. And so I tinker about. At the moment, I'm teaching acting at the Italian Conservatoire. There's an Italian version of RADA.
Yeah.
And my first show after lockdown was we finished 10 days ago. And it was very, very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very interesting. But there you go. That's sort of little. I'm a writer and a director and a teacher. There you go.
So where did you meet your partner that you had your son with?
Going to Ancona, I was in Ancona, and then I travelled across to Bologna, and I was in Bologna for a bit, and then I organised a workshop in Rome, and I did a workshop in Rome, and she was there, and so we met like that. She's an actor, so we met in Rome, and long story short,
Yeah.
16 years later.
Okay. So, Giles, tell me,
Yes.
how has COVID-19 affected you?
Well, now, when this show I just did that closed, that did its last performance about 10 days ago, I went on a recce for the theatre 2 days before lockdown. Can I say quarantine rather than lockdown? Because
Yeah.
lockdown sounds like I'm a prisoner. I'm not. It was quarantine. But 2 days, I was with my designer, and we went to do we went to the theatre to measure up, whatever. And then 2 days later, we were in quarantine. And there was that immediate moment of, oh, bugger. And then I had 2.5 months of actually not being only being able to go out to walk the dog, or to go to the chemist, the pharmacist, to get whatever medicine or whatever we need, and to do the shopping. But going out at night to walk the dog, I had this, because I live just outside of Rome. I live about 20 miles outside of Rome. And it's a town, and it's a great little town, but and it's very, very, very busy because it's a commuter town. But during lockdown, no one was around, so all the pizzerias were closed, all the bars were closed, and at night with the dog, it was amazing. And I have to say, I was able for the first time in feels like a century to think about what it is I wanted to do. And I ended up making 3 very, very short little films, just sort of personal little diary thing, 3 minutes each they were. And I posted them out, and that big, huge response, 3,000 people, which was really quite surprised me, because I did it for me. I didn't do it for anyone else. I did it for me to sort of exercise demons and things. So I had a really, the forced silence, the forced sort of solitude was actually really beneficial. It was fantastic up to a point. So on one hand, it was a great period of just being able to think and plan, and to do something with very limited resources in a very limited space, because it was a very small house, and to create something. And that was really good. But you need to go out, especially if you got kids, especially if you got young kids.
Yeah.
So on one hand, it was great. On the other hand, it was, you learn, or at least I learned, just how stupid people can be, and how, the real basic level of primal animal bovine stupidity can really come out in people. But it's the complete change in human interaction has changed. People look at you as if they're trying to spot if you've got the disease or not. At least they do here. At least that's maybe I'm just paranoid, Gemma. I don't know.
I think on some level you're right. I think we've become suspicious of each other. Italy's had a very, obviously similar, but also very different way of dealing with
Yeah.
corona. And you guys were in
Yeah.
serious lockdown early on, but
Yes.
for a long time.
It's been handled well at the beginning of it, right in the end of February, March, when it all kicked off. Not a lot of people. Some people were saying, "Oh, we're all stupid. The Italians are stupid. Everyone's laughing at us because we're taking these precautions." But actually, ahead of the game a little bit.
Yeah.
The lockdown worked. It really did. And at the end of the day, I think if everyone had done it quicker,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be in the crap we're in.
So your partner is an actor as well. So what's it been like? Did it just stop? Did the theatres close and there was no work for actors or for theatres?
Yeah, the theatres closed. The theatres, cinemas, everything closed. Everything closed. The theatres opened again. I started rehearsing for this in June. till June, and the theatres opened at the end of June, but very limited.
Wow.
There were only one or two of the big ones that opened. But that was in Rome. That wasn't everywhere. That was just here. That was
Right.
just in Rome. People are stupid. People will go to the restaurant and they'll go to the disco, but no one will go to the theatre.
Yeah.
All the theatres are operating on a half capacity. So if, for example, the theatre I was in had a 250 capacity, and it was operating at half that because you have to give the space.
But how are they managing that financially then? How can they possibly?
They're not. They're not.
And
They're so it,
is there support from the government for the arts like there is in the UK? What's it like?
what's it like? There's a lot of good intentions, I think, but there's no real concrete plan. But then it's not the same here. It doesn't work in the same way. There's no arts council
Mm.
in this country. Everything is political, and everything is it's local government authorities that have calls to apply for funding and things, and it's a lot more bureaucrat and a lot more political. Um, so no, money isn't ever available. It's sort of wing and a prayer, but it's always a wing and a prayer. You sort of do a job and you get paid for it if you're lucky a long time after it. This is a very you need another Zoom meeting with me to explain how it all works here.
Right. Okay. So with
Okay.
that in mind, um, have have you your partner had any financial support from?
Yeah, I did. I did because I'm self-employed, and I suspect because it's tax season here at the moment, I suspect I've had a tax cut. I think I have, not by much, but I've had a tax
Yeah.
cut.
Okay. So you've had the kind of the self-employment support, but
Yeah,
as you say, there's no kind of specific arts council support or
no.
anything to support the theatres, or I mean, is there any government money happening?
It's always planned. It's always been planned, but it's not. It's not there. It's not liquid. It's projected.
Okay. Can you survive?
I will survive. It sounds like a Gloria Gaynor song. It's the sequel to a Gloria Gaynor song. Well, you know as well, or probably better than me, that after all the years we've been doing this, you find a way to survive, and you invent stuff. So yeah, but no.
Like us, are you in a second wave? Are you seeing a kind of another?
There's. I don't know if it's a second wave or it's just spikes. I don't know. I think some people are saying it's just a spike. Some people are panicking and saying it's a second wave. It could be a second wave. We're in the middle of it right now, so we don't really know.
Okay, so
It's
you're still wearing masks when you're
all
in.
the time. Oh yeah, yeah. We have to. I mean, there's an obligation to wear them. And I agree with it. I wear it because I understand from my son's point of view, who is an at-risk kind of.
Mhm.
Who is an at-risk category. I endorse it. Some people don't. Some people are lax about it. Some people are overly zealous about it. It's human, so people react as their character dictates a little bit.
Without a really firm, strong set of rules, we will always be divided.
Well, the rules should always be few and simple. In any situation like this, the rules should be few and simple and very easy to understand.
So that's really
Disaster.
interesting. It's really interesting then that you are effectively kind of back at work, if be it to sort of on a slightly.
Well, yeah, but then there's also the restrictions within work. This play I directed is basically it's Don Giovanni, which is about a sex mad guy, right? It's a modern version. Ian McEwan wrote the script. Modern story about this composer who does nothing but shag, basically. But the rules say that all the actors have to be 1.5 meters apart.
So how are you?
on stage.
How are you
Well,
getting?
we did it because I'm a genius.
Obviously.
No, I'm joking. I'm not a genius. I'm not a genius. But we had to motivate all the actor motivations, all the directing, we had to factor in. Okay, we need to justify this, that you're 1.5 meters apart and you can't touch. And it took a lot of thinking, but we did it, and the people who came to see it, no one noticed, which I was quite pleased about. I was also not pleased about it because I thought, can't you see the effort we've made to make this work?
I was going to
So
say.
that's the weird one. If no, not when your theatres reopen, you will probably have to do this as well. And it really is a feat of imagination to justify keeping people 1.5 meters apart, and the little tricks you need to find to justify why someone leaves a chair and stuff, all that stuff, and it will keep you up all night planning it.
I love it. Can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Blinking time, I tell you.
Yeah, I was there with pencil. I had a shoebox, and I had pencils and baby, kids' games, Lego furniture and stuff, working out all the moves.
Love it.
Yeah, which I never work like that, but I had to.
What's made you the saddest about the last 6 months?
The utter the political apathy towards people who are providing a life after, what we do. Not only us, but also people who run restaurants, bars, anywhere there is a social gathering of people, which gives so much money back to the state every year. Utter apathy. And I mean, it's worse in Britain, because Britain, and I think the arts and entertainment, let's say, is what, the second biggest income, and it's second or third or whatever it is. I can't remember. Here it's not as big as that. It's fashion that is big here, and pasta, obviously. But but the utter disregard and apathy that okay, you said it yourself. You said A-list actors are on the telly complaining or whatever. Right, quite right too, because we need those people to complain. But there's also those people that who aren't on the telly, that pay their taxes every year and suddenly have nothing. And it's all those people that keep the business going. So you've got A-list people on the telly and in films and in the theatres and whatever. It's the utter disregard and the indifference to it that has made me the saddest. That, and also people that profess to love the arts but refuse to go to the theatre, but you see them at restaurants.
Yeah.
I just think, hold on a minute. I mean, because that's just hypocrisy. You don't want to. You're closer in a restaurant than you ever will be in a theatre, because there's a seat apart. You're further apart.
Yeah. Do you find that in Italy that people who work in the arts are expected to work for nothing?
All the time.
Yeah.
I still often work for nothing.
Why is that? What is that about?
What's that about? Well, let's do it. Let's take it. I'll try and keep it as similar from my point of view. Working in this country, let's put it into 3 different categories. There's category 1, which is you're fresh out of college, you're new, no one knows you, you've got to start. You're not going to, unless you're very lucky, as we both know, you're not going to end up being super famous immediately. And if you want to work, you need to do it yourself. So you end up doing work, investing your own time and money in it. Let's say you leave college at 21, and from 21 to, let's say, 35, let's say, you invest your own time, your own money, you do your own things, and a lot of it is unpaid. A lot of it is expenses only. And then after that, you start going into the second bracket, which maybe people have seen you and whatever, and you may end up getting paid. But it will mostly be what is the equivalent of equity minimum, which is 80 euros a day, 85 euros a day.
Right.
And that's gross.
It is gross. It's
No,
definitely
it is gross, but that's gross. That's before tax. That's before tax and the equivalent of national insurance. And then you get the third group, which is people that have worked a lot, have a career, and maybe have money. Now, why do you work for free? Because all three brackets will work for free. The first group, it's easy to understand why they work for free. The second group will work for free because they may be making, they've got an eye on something, they want to make a jump, so they'll invest money and work for free to maybe make that jump. The third group will maybe work for free as a favor.
I think you're right. I think so. What you're suggesting is basically we have enabled society
Oh,
to
yes.
undervalue our
Yes, absolutely, 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 absolutely. I hate it, but it's
because I think we found, so Hot Buckle found, we got asked to do a couple of gigs for the council here over the summer, and there was that sense of how little can we pay you, you know. um And the thing is you want to work, don't you? Everybody wants to
yeah,
work, so
yeah,
you
yeah.
take it. But actually, speaking to my friends Andy and Ellie, who run Odd Socks Theatre Company, which is a bigger company, Andy was saying, but unless you say, sorry, no, I'm not going to work for that, it's never going to change. And the
No,
problem is we would never say that because
yeah.
we all desperately want
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
job.
yeah, yeah. It's exactly that. And I think that's the same the whole world over. There's also another thing, which is in this situation, people maybe work for free in order to make a stand and say we need to keep these open, so we will work for free to keep the place open.
Yeah.
And I can understand that, but it's not going to solve
It doesn't
anything.
help.
No,
No.
it doesn't.
Giles,
Hello.
if somebody told you you were
Yep.
unable to do what you love and what you have worked all of your life to achieve,
Yeah.
what else would you do?
Well, this is what's going through my head. Um, um, and it's been going through my head for a while. COVID sort of brought it to my head a little bit, but it's been going through my head. Um, I, the transferable skills. It's a horrible phrase, and I hate it. I'm a very visual thinker, and I like to create visually. So I make puppets, and right now I'm taking an awful lot of photographs. I think I'm an optimist, so I think something can always be found. No, was it Nietzsche? I'm not Nietzsche, but was it Nietzsche who said, you can live with any how as long as you have a why?
All of us who are working in the arts, when we're told, or when there's a barrier, we just find other ways through it and around it, because that's what we do, because we create.
Yeah, these bloody people that use the word adapt. Think about travel adapters when you use that word. And the nightmare they are. Yeah?
Yeah, man.
Adapt.
Adapt.
Yeah, adapt. It's a don't. So yeah, glass of wine, something to smoke.
Yeah.
Yes.
My final question, Giles, is what would you like your legacy to be?
Um, I never gave up. And that is like I said before. There's always a way through. It sounds a bit kung fu-y, zen-y, Buddhist, and I'm not any of those things. But I think you always have what you need to fight your way through the forest, I think.
Okay.
And improvisation, learning to improvise, have a plan, but leave gaps in it. It's a bit like the periodic table of elements. There are gaps in it, right? So new things can be discovered. I think a lot of the time we all have a plan, and all the bricks in the plan, in the wall of our plan, joined together, and we don't leave enough gaps between them. A dry stone wall is stronger than a wall with cement because the wind can blow through it. So you have your plan, but leave gaps.
Nice.
I don't know if that I don't know if that makes any sense. It's
I
probably
like the analogy of the dry stone wall.
There you go.
I'm going to take that. Can I have that?
You can have that. You can have that. You can have that.
You're very kind.
Just send us a couple of quid every time it's used. Yeah. I'm joking. I'm joking.
It has been an absolute pleasure to speak.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
And I hope we don't leave it 25 years again.
Well, you've got my email now.